And that's people say they fall out of love. What you really have done is you've lost your desire to pursue your spouse. Because when we start pursuing them, that's falling in love again. It's a guided action that you control. And you didn't realize you controlled it because it felt like, oh, love at first sight and these great feelings when you first met them. But those good feelings were followed up with you pursuing them. And what happened is after you got them, you stopped chasing them. Why do I keep chasing them? You keep chasing them so that you renew that love. That love has to be renewed daily. This discussion covers information from our new book, 21 Days to a Better Marriage. You can sign up to pre-order the book now at the link in our description. Thank you, and let's get back to the discussion.
Marriage is a skill.
Yeah. And some of the skills that you have to learn to master and that you're constantly going to have to be putting into practice.
Yeah.
You master marriage by learning these things and then deciding every day I'm going to put them into practice. It's not one of those skills that's like riding a bicycle where they say you never forget. Drew's still out with that, even is real or not. But the idea that you never forget the skill.
Even if you don't forget the skill or your brain doesn't lose the ability to balance yourself on a bike, you can become rusty. If you haven't ridden a long time, you don't have the same confidence you did when you was like 10 years old and you ripping and running, sliding. I don't.
I suppose so. But even with marriage, it's even worse than that. And that if you don't put this into practice on like a daily basis, you're going to lose it. You're not going to feel the desire to. Yeah. And that's people say they fall out of love. What you really have done is you've lost your desire to pursue your spouse. Because when we start pursuing them, that's falling in love again. It's a guided action that you control. And you didn't realize you controlled it because it felt like, oh, love at first sight and these great feelings when you first met them. But those good feelings were followed up with you pursuing them. And what happened is after you got them, you stopped chasing them. Why do I keep chasing them? You keep chasing them so that you renew that love. That love has to be renewed daily. And so some marriage skills you're going to have to learn are pursuit. Like we just talked about, trust, forgiveness. That's a huge one. Communication, submission. These are all things that you're going to have to learn how to do and how to put into practice. And we learned these over the course of years, from the marriage teachings and the things that you have to put into practice consistently. But if you don't realize that this is like being in school, you have to learn these marriage skills. You have to put them into practice. And then you become a master in the topic, in the subject of your spouse.
Yeah, and it's never ending when it comes to learning because you're always changing. You're always evolving as a person. So who we were day one of our marriage, we are not those people. So I'm a whole new Cacie than I was almost 7 years ago now. Yeah. So you're learning this new version of myself. And sometimes the mistake we make is because who I was in the beginning, you didn't put that in the past. Yep. And he's still on the board as Cacie responds this way. Like, wait a minute, you haven't noticed that I've matured past that.
See, that's why you've got to continue to practice these marriage skills because you got to continue to pursue because they're changing every day. People change every day. You are a completely different person 10 years now from ago. Whatever. I said that wrong, but you get what I'm saying. You're a completely different person. And so if all you go off of is when I pursued you when I was dating you, you don't even know who you're married to now. And that's really what people end up divorced or out of love and all that because they wake up next to somebody they don't recognize.
And they say that, I don't know who you are. I don't recognize you. And you're right about that observation because they're not that person. Yeah. So that's an accurate statement.
Yeah. So don't go into marriage expecting them to stay the same. They're supposed to change. They're going to change. And you have to change with them. You have to change with your marriage. You have to plan for that.